Hi, in this video we're going to explore weight map blending, a key aspect of setting up landscapes in Unreal Engine. We'll look at the two available weight map types, weight blended and non-weight blended, and explain why the latter is often a better fit for procedural, non-destructive workflows. When you create a new landscape, one of the first steps is configuring your weight maps using the Landscape Paint tool. Each weight map must be assigned a type, either weight blended or non-weight blended. Weight maps of both types can be used together. The selected type controls how weight map painting works. Painting a weight blended weight map removes other weight maps previously painted in the area to ensure that the sum of all weights equals to 1. As a result, weight blended weight maps generally don't overlap, except for transition areas. On the other hand, painting a non-weight blended weight map doesn't remove other weight maps previously painted in the area. Such weight maps are fully independent and can overlap. A common use case for non-weight blended weight maps is to add secondary effects, such as snow or puddles, while weight blended weight maps are used for selecting a surface type, such as grass, dirt or sand. In theory, the weight map type is independent of how the weight map is processed in the landscape material. In practice, however, weight blended weight maps are often blended together using the Landscape Layer Blend node, while non-weight blended weight maps are sampled individually using Landscape Layer Sample node. An important aspect of the Landscape Layer Blend node is that it assumes that weights sum up to 1 at any given point, which means it's not designed to handle overlapping weight maps. And that's okay when we're painting weight maps manually and there is only one edit layer. However, when we have multiple edit layers, we can end up in a situation where two weight blended weight maps are painted over the same region and the sum of their weights exceeds 1. The Paint tool doesn't prevent such a situation as it operates within a single edit layer. In such a scenario, the material's Landscape Layer Blend node fails to properly blend the material attributes and we get visual glitches, such as this one. The glitches disappear when we hide the other edit layer. Another workflow where this becomes a problem is when using procedural non-destructive tools. Take Errant Landscape, for example. Its brushes can paint weight maps, but since they're fully non-destructive, they can be moved or modified at any time, even months after they were added. This flexibility means that we can't rely on the order in which weight maps were painted. We need consistent results regardless of the order of operations. Given these issues, weight blended weight maps may not be the best choice for procedural, non-destructive workflows. In case of non-weight blended weight maps, we're expecting overlap. So we're sampling each weight map individually using the Landscape Layer Sample node. Then we calculate material attributes for a given surface type and blend them with the attributes calculated for all the previously evaluated surface types. This process is repeated for every weight map. As a result, the order in which weight maps are rendered is fixed and it depends on the order in which weight maps are processed into material and not on the order in which they were painted. We also don't mind if a weight map is painted on multiple edit layers, as this is no different from an overlap within the same edit layer. For those reasons, non-weight blended weight maps seem better suited for procedural, non-destructive workflows. However, non-weight blended weight maps are not free of issues. One major constraint of our landscape material is that we're locked into a fixed order of weight maps. We cannot paint grass over snow, for example. One way to work around this is to duplicate weight maps into two groups: foreground and background. Foreground weight maps would be processed last, so they would always render on top of the background weight maps. This way, we could cover a large patch of terrain with background snow and then paint foreground grass on top of it. When working with non-weight blended weight maps, we need to make sure that unused weight maps don't hurt performance. This can be achieved with the Landscape Layer Switch node. It allows Unreal to compile a variant of the material that skips calculations for a given weight map if its weight is 0 across the entire landscape component. If not for this optimization, the material would have very high complexity, and would be very slow to render or could even fail compilation due to exhaustion of texture samplers or other GPU resources. With a properly implemented landscape material, what matters is the number of weight maps painted on a given landscape component, and not the overall number of weight maps. Unreal offers a layer usage visualizer to help monitor this. For optimal performance, it's best to keep the number of painted weight maps below 3 or 4 per component. As that number increases, rendering performance degrades, which is visible in the shader complexity view. Another powerful optimization technique is runtime virtual texturing, RVT, which helps maintain rendering performance even with complex landscape materials. RVT works by rendering the terrain from a top-down view into a virtual texture, once per area for a given resolution. Unreal then replaces the full landscape shader with a simplified version that skips most of the costly calculations and instead samples the pre-computed texture. This significantly reduces the rendering cost. As the final topic, let's discuss how weight map types affect advanced effects, such as displacement. Blending between surface types with very different displacement values can be tricky. With weight-blended weight maps, transitions often result in abrupt changes in height, producing an unnatural look. In contrast, non-weight blended weight maps can overlap, which allows for more sophisticated blending techniques, such where displacement values are added together, resulting in more gradual, realistic height transitions. In summary, non-weight blended weight maps provide greater flexibility and seem a better fit for non-destructive procedural workflows. However, that flexibility comes with added responsibility. Users must carefully manage overlap and apply appropriate optimization techniques to maintain good performance. Okay, that's all for this video. If you'd like to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.